The sharp ring of the doorbell echoed through the empty house like a gunshot, pulling Russell from his numb stare at the ceiling. He hadn't expected visitors today, not after the funeral, not after his mother's parting words that still burned in his ears. "You're no son of mine, not like this." But there stood Jordan on the porch, rain dripping from his coat, eyes filled with that quiet fury Russell had come to rely on, the kind that said, "I'm here, no matter what." Russell let him in without a word, the door clicking shut behind them like a final judgment. The living room, once filled with his father's booming laughter, now felt like a tomb, cluttered with half-packed boxes and faded family photos where smiles hid secrets. Jordan pulled Russell into a hug, his arms steady, and whispered, "She can't erase you. Not from this family, not from me." They'd met 2 years ago at a Brooklyn coffee shop, where Russell was sketching building designs and Jordan was buried in law books. What started as a shared table turned into late-night talks about dreams and fears, Russell's passion for architecture clashing with his conservative family's expectations, Jordan's fight for LGBTQ rights mirroring his own hidden battles. Their connection deepened slowly, built on stolen moments and unspoken understandings, until one confession under the stars made it real. But coming out to his family had shattered everything. His mother, Evelyn, a pillar of their upscale Connecticut community, had always prized perfection. She ran charity galas, attended church every Sunday, and expected her only son to follow the script. Marry well, produce heirs, uphold the Harrington name. When Russell told her about Jordan over dinner 6 months ago, her face had frozen, fork suspended midair. "This is a phase," she'd said, voice laced with denial. "You're confused. We can fix this." But it wasn't a phase. Russell had known since high school, hiding crushes on boys while pretending interest in girls to avoid her scrutiny. His father, Robert, a successful real estate mogul, had been different, distant but kind, offering cryptic advice like, "Live your truth, son, even if it costs you." Russell never knew if he suspected, but those words had given him the courage to come out. The arguments escalated. Evelyn accused Jordan of corrupting him, banned him from family events, and whispered to relatives about Russell's choices. Society's whispers followed. At country club brunches, eyes darted away. Old friends sent pitying texts. Russell felt the weight of it all, the judgment from a world that claimed progress but clung to old prejudices. Jordan urged him to fight back, but Russell, torn between love and loyalty, hoped time would heal. Then came the accident. Robert's car skidded off the icy road one winter night, leaving a void that amplified every fracture. At the hospital, Evelyn clung to Russell's arm, sobbing, but her grief twisted into blame. "If you hadn't stressed him with your lifestyle," she muttered. Russell swallowed the retort, focusing on the beeping machines that couldn't save his father. The funeral was a spectacle of hypocrisy. Evelyn played the grieving widow flawlessly, accepting condolences while shooting Russell sidelong glares whenever Jordan appeared. Relatives murmured about family values, their sympathy laced with disapproval. Russell stood graveside, Jordan's hand brushing his discreetly, a lifeline in the storm. Now, alone in the house, Russell paced the study where his father's desk loomed like a sentinel. Papers scattered from the will reading loomed tomorrow. Evelyn had insisted on privacy, but rumors swirled. "Your father wouldn't approve," she'd said last night, eyes cold. "He built this legacy for a real family." Jordan sat on the worn leather couch watching Russell. "What if the will changes things?" he asked, voice steady but edged with hope. Russell shook his head. "Dad was traditional. He might have left everything to her, or worse, conditioned it on me straightening out." But deep down, Russell wondered. Robert had always been the quiet supporter, funding Russell's education without question, even after the coming-out fallout. Once, during a heated dinner argument, he'd silenced Evelyn with a look and changed the subject. Was there more to his father's silence? As night fell, they talked in hushed tones, Jordan's presence a balm against the isolation. "Society's changing," Jordan said, "but families like yours lag behind. We fight for rights in courts, but hearts are harder. Russell nodded, feeling the pull of two worlds. His love for Jordan clashing with the ache for maternal acceptance. Sleep evaded him that night, memories flashing. Childhood Christmases where Evelyn fussed over appearances. Robert slipping him extra allowance with a wink. The divide had always been there, subtle but growing. Now, with the will hanging over them, Russell feared it would explode. Morning came too soon. The lawyer's office in downtown Manhattan buzzed with sterile efficiency. Evelyn arrived first, impeccable in black, nodding curtly at Russell and ignoring Jordan entirely. Relatives filtered in. Aunts, uncles, cousins. All eyeing Russell with a mix of curiosity and disdain. The air thickened with unspoken tensions. Mr. Hargrove, the family attorney, cleared his throat, adjusting his glasses. Robert Harrington's last will and testament, he began, voice formal. As he read the preliminaries, Russell's heart pounded. Evelyn sat ramrod straight, expecting the bulk to go to her. Then came the bombshell. To my son, Russell Lander Harrington, Hargrove intoned, I bequeath the entirety of my real estate holdings, valued at approximately $50 million, on the condition that he lives authentically as he chooses, without interference from family members. The room erupted. Evelyn's gasp cut through the murmurs. What does that mean? She demanded, face paling. Hargrove continued, unfazed. Furthermore, to my wife, Evelyn, I leave the family home and a trust fund of $10 million, provided she respects Russell Lander's personal life. Any attempts to contest or undermine this will result in forfeiture. Silence fell, heavy and accusing. Eyes turned to Russell, who sat stunned, Jordan's hand squeezing his under the table. His father's words, read aloud, revealed a man who'd known all along, who'd planned this as a final act of protection. Evelyn stood, trembling. This is outrageous. He couldn't have meant. But Hargrove held up a hand. There's a letter, he said, passing an envelope to Russell. With shaking hands, Russell opened it. Son, it read, I saw your struggle and mine in silence. I loved your mother, but I couldn't change her. Live free, Dad. Tears blurred Russell's vision. The will wasn't just money, it was validation, a shield against the family's bigotry. But as Evelyn stormed out, slamming the door, Russell knew the real battle was just beginning. Society's conflicts mirrored their own. Acceptance versus tradition, love versus legacy. Jordan pulled him close as they left. He believed in you, he murmured. The city streets blurred past, a world of possibilities opening, but shadowed by the fractures left behind. The days following the will reading turned the Harrington family into a battlefield of whispers and accusations. Evelyn retreated to the family home in Connecticut, refusing Russell's calls, while relatives bombarded him with texts, some congratulatory, veiled in envy, others outright hostile. Your father's mind must have been failing, Aunt Clara messaged, her words dripping with judgment. This isn't how families work. Russell stared at his phone in the small Brooklyn apartment he shared with Jordan, the weight of inheritance clashing with the simplicity of their life. The real estate empire, skyscrapers in Manhattan, developments in upstate New York, loomed like a double-edged sword. It meant security but also scrutiny. What if they contest it? Russell asked Jordan one evening, pacing the living room cluttered with blueprints and legal pads. Jordan looked up from his laptop, where he was researching precedents. The conditions are ironclad. Your dad was smart. He consulted Hargrove years ago, probably after you came out. His eyes softened. But it's not just about the money. It's about what he stood for. Russell sank onto the couch, head in hands. The letter from his father replayed in his mind. A quiet revolution against the family's facade. Robert had built his fortune from nothing, an immigrant son who valued hard work over handouts. Yet he'd hidden his support, perhaps to keep peace with Evelyn, whose southern roots clung to outdated norms. Russell remembered overhearing arguments, Robert defending modern times, Evelyn insisting on decency. Now, the will forced confrontation. Evelyn's lawyer called the next day, voice slick with false politeness. Mrs. Harrington wishes to discuss a settlement. She feels the terms are unfair. Unfair, Russell echoed, anger rising. She called me a disgrace. Dad knew that. The lawyer sighed. Emotions run high. Perhaps a family meeting. Russell agreed against Jordan's advice. It's a trap, Jordan warned. She's rallying the troops. The meeting was set at a neutral spot, a high-end restaurant in Midtown. Russell arrived early, nerves jangling, Jordan by his side for support. Evelyn swept in with Aunt Clara and Uncle Ted, her face a mask of composed fury. Russell Lander, she said coolly, ignoring Jordan. They ordered coffee, tension thick as the steam rising from cups. Your father wouldn't want this division, Evelyn began, voice trembling slightly. He built everything for us, for the family line. The family line that excludes me? Russell shot back, heart pounding. Because I'm gay? Dad knew, Mom. He accepted it. She flinched. He tolerated it. But this will, it's like he's punishing me for upholding values. Uncle Ted leaned in, bushy brows furrowed. Boy, think about it. You're young, influenced by city life. We can help you find your way back. Jordan's jaw tightened, but Russell placed a hand on his arm. Back to what? Hiding? Pretending? That's not living. Aunt Clara chimed in, voice saccharine. Society isn't ready, dear. Think of the scandals, the business partners pulling out, the community shunning us. Russell felt the societal pressure she invoked, the conservative circles where being gay was still whispered about, where rights were won on paper but lost in parlors. Dad's empire thrives on diversity now, he countered. Times are changing. Evelyn's eyes welled. I raised you better. This lifestyle, it's a choice that breaks my heart. Is it? Russell pressed, voice cracking. Or is it who I am? Dad chose to protect me from you. The words hung, explosive. Evelyn stood, napkin crumpling in her fist. You'll regret this. We're contesting. As they left, Jordan squeezed Russell's hand. You stood your ground. That's progress. But doubt crept in. Back home, Russell scrolled through social media, seeing stories of families torn by similar divides. Parents disowning kids, only to regret it later. Was Evelyn's rejection rooted in fear or pure prejudice? The will amplified the debate, turning personal pain into public fodder when a cousin leaked details to a tabloid. Headlines screamed, millionaires will favors gay son over widow, family feud erupts. Comments flooded in, polarized, supporters cheering love wins, while detractors spewed hate, calling it an attack on traditional values. Jordan fielded calls from advocacy groups, offering legal aid. This could be bigger than us, he said. A symbol for others. Russell hesitated. I just want peace. But peace eluded them. Evelyn's contest filed, claiming undue influence, alleging Robert's health had declined, that Russell had manipulated him. The accusation stung, dredging up memories of Robert's last months, weakened by illness but sharp-minded. In court prep, Hargrove revealed more. Video recordings of Robert dictating the will, clear-eyed, stating, My son deserves to love freely. Evelyn, if you're watching, remember why I married you, your spirit. Don't let fear dim it. Russell watched the tape alone, tears streaming. His father's voice, steady, exposed the family's silence. The years of unspoken acceptance buried under propriety. The scandal rippled outward. Business associates wavered, some pulling deals, citing instability. Russell stepped in, attending meetings, proving his mettle. Dad trusted me, he'd say, channeling Robert's confidence. Jordan supported him through late nights, their bond strengthening amid chaos. We're in this together, Jordan affirmed, a quiet vow. Yet, as the court date loomed, Russell faced a choice. Settle to mend family ties or fight for his father's legacy. Society's mirror reflected his dilemma. Progress clashing with tradition, love demanding sacrifice. One night, a call from Evelyn shattered the stalemate. We need to talk, she said, voice broken. Alone. Russell agreed, heart heavy, wondering if reconciliation was possible or just another ploy. The cafe in Greenwich Village buzzed with midday chatter, a far cry from the stuffy boardrooms Russell had endured lately. He spotted Evelyn at a corner table, her usual poise cracked, shoulders slumped, no makeup hiding the lines of exhaustion. She looked up as he approached, eyes flickering with a mix of resentment and something softer, perhaps regret. "Russell Lander," she said quietly, gesturing to the seat opposite. No accusations this time, just a weary nod. He sat, ordering tea to steady his hands. "Why now, Mom? After the lawsuit?" She stirred her coffee endlessly. "The video, your father's words. They haunt me." Her voice wavered. "He knew me better than I knew myself." Russell leaned in, curiosity overriding anger. "What do you mean?" Evelyn sighed, gazing out the window at passers-by, couples holding hands, families laughing. "I grew up in a small town where differences were sins. My parents disowned my brother when he, well, you know." She paused, the admission hanging. "He was like you. I never saw him again." Shock rippled through Russell. "Uncle David? You said he moved away." Lies to protect the family image. Her eyes met his, pained. "I thought I was saving you from that pain, but I became them." The revelation humanized her, peeling back layers of prejudice rooted in her own losses. Society's chains, generational trauma, religious dogma, had shaped her, but didn't excuse the hurt she'd inflicted. "Why fight the will then?" Russell asked, voice gentle but firm. "Fear," she admitted, "of losing control of what people say. The club, the church, they whisper already." Russell thought of the broader conflicts. Laws protecting LGBTQ rights clashing with cultural holdouts, families fractured by evolving norms. "People change," he said. "Dad did. Why can't you?" She reached across the table, hesitating before touching his hand. "I'm trying. Drop the suit and let's rebuild." Hope flickered, but caution held him back. "And Jordan? You accept us?" Evelyn withdrew slightly. "It's hard, but I'll try." It wasn't enough, but it was a start. Russell left the cafe conflicted, the meeting stirring emotions he'd buried. Jordan waited at home, reading his face. "Progress. Maybe," Russell replied, recounting the talk. "She has her own scars." Jordan nodded thoughtfully. "Trauma doesn't justify harm, but understanding it helps heal." The lawsuit dragged on, media frenzy intensifying. Protests formed outside court, advocates waving rainbow flags, conservatives holding signs about family erosion. Russell became an unwilling symbol, interviewed by outlets probing the drama. One evening, a bombshell dropped. Leaked emails from Evelyn to relatives, calling Russell lost and vowing to save the legacy. Public backlash surged, petitions circulating for her to withdraw. Evelyn called again, frantic. "I didn't mean for this. Please, son, end it." But Russell, bolstered by Jordan's counsel, stood firm. "Admit publicly you were wrong. Support us." She hesitated, the request challenging her world. Days later, she did. A statement to the press. "I've made mistakes. My son deserves happiness." The admission shifted tides. Relatives backed off, business stabilized. In court, Evelyn dropped the contest, tears in her eyes as she hugged Russell awkwardly. Victory tasted bittersweet. The will's conditions enforced, Russell inherited fully, but the family silence, years of unspoken truths, left scars. With newfound freedom, Russell and Jordan planned a future, merging the empire with inclusive developments, like affordable housing for LGBTQ youth. Society's debates mirrored their journey, acceptance gaining ground, but resistance lingering. Yet doubts lingered. Was Evelyn's change genuine or survival? Russell watched her at a tentative family dinner, small talk strained but present. Jordan's presence, once forbidden, now tolerated. As months passed, tensions eased. Evelyn attended a pride event with them, uncomfortable but there. "For you," she said to Russell, a small step, but undercurrents remained. A cousin's snide remark at Thanksgiving reignited sparks. "So, the gay agenda wins?" Evelyn silenced him sharply. Enough. He's family. Russell felt a shift, the will's legacy enforcing change. Jordan squeezed his hand under the table, their love a quiet triumph. Still, society's broader conflicts loomed, bills restricting rights, hate crimes rising. Russell channeled his inheritance into advocacy, funding shelters and legal aid. One night, reflecting on his father's letter, Russell realized the will wasn't just protection. It was a call to action, silencing not voices, but injustice. Reconciliation with Evelyn unfolded like a fragile truce, punctuated by moments of genuine connection amid lingering awkwardness. She visited their Brooklyn apartment one crisp autumn afternoon, bearing a box of old photos. Yellowed images of Russell as a child, Robert beaming beside him. "Your father always said you had his fire," she remarked, voice soft as she traced a finger over a picture. Russell poured coffee, Jordan excusing himself to give them space. "Why now, Mom? After everything?" She sat, posture less rigid. "The will forced me to see. I was afraid. Of change, of losing you completely." Her eyes glistened. "Society drilled into me that families look a certain way. But losing Robert, it showed me what's real." They talked for hours, unearthing buried stories. Her brother's exile, the shame she'd carried. Russell shared his own pains, the isolation of hiding, the joy of finding Jordan. "Love isn't a threat," he said. "It's what holds us." Evelyn nodded slowly. "I'm learning." But societal pressures tested the mend. At a charity gala Evelyn hosted, whispers followed Russell and Jordan's entrance. An old acquaintance pulled her aside. "Really, Evelyn? Parading this?" She straightened. "My son and his partner are welcome. If that bothers you, the door's there." Word spread, some applauding her evolution, others boycotting. The family's social circle fractured, mirroring national divides, progressive shifts clashing with entrenched views. Russell faced his own trials in managing the empire. Board members grumbled about woke initiatives, like partnering with LGBTQ organizations. "Business is business," one argued, "not politics." "Dad built this on integrity," Russell countered. "Inclusion is smart business." Jordan helped navigate, his legal expertise shining in negotiations. Their relationship deepened, built on shared battles, late nights debating strategy, quiet mornings affirming love. Yet controversy brewed. A disgruntled relative leaked more dirt. Alleged proof Robert was coerced. Tabloids ran with it, dredging up Evelyn's past statements. Public opinion swung, hate mail arriving at Russell's office. One letter stood out. "You don't deserve it. Real men build families." Jordan found Russell staring at it, face pale. "Trash it. They're scared of change." But the words echoed Evelyn's old barbs, stirring insecurity. "What if she's right? What if I'm destroying the legacy?" Jordan pulled him close. "You're honoring it. Dad saw that." To counter, Russell went public. An op-ed in the New York Times. "My father's will. A lesson in acceptance." He detailed the drama, the pain, the growth, sparking debates online. Comments ranged from supportive to vitriolic, highlighting society's polarized stance on gay rights and inheritance. Evelyn called after reading it. "Brave," she said. "I'm proud." The word proud hit like a wave, mending a piece of his heart. As winter approached, a new conflict arose. Evelyn's health faltered, a minor stroke landing her in hospital. Russell rushed to her side, Jordan following. "I'm here," he said, holding her hand. She smiled weakly, "Like your father would have wanted." Recovery brought them closer. Evelyn joined therapy, unpacking prejudices. "Society evolves slowly," she mused during a session Russell attended. "But families can lead." Russell saw parallels in national news, court rulings on equality, backlash from conservative groups. His story became a case study in advocacy circles, Jordan speaking at conferences. One evening, at a quiet dinner, Evelyn asked about their future. "Kids? Adoption?" Russell exchanged glances with Jordan. "Maybe someday." She nodded. I'd like to be grandma properly. The moment felt surreal, a far cry from disownment. But authenticity demanded vigilance. Old habits died hard. A family reunion tested it. Cousins arrived wary, conversations tiptoeing around topics. When one joked derogatorily, Evelyn shut it down. Not in my house. Russell felt empowered, the will's silence now a roar of validation. Yet, as success mounted, empire thriving, relationship solid, Russell pondered the cost. Had the drama been necessary? Society's conflicts suggested yes, forcing growth. Jordan proposed formally that Christmas, ring simple, promise profound. Through it all, he said. Evelyn witnessed, tears joyful. Your father would approve. The engagement announcement drew mixed reactions. Cheers from allies, scorn from holdouts. It fueled ongoing debates. Was forcing acceptance through a will ethical? Russell embraced the controversy, using his platform to advocate. Change starts with one family, he'd say. But in quiet moments, he missed the simplicity before the will, before silence broke. With the empire secure and family ties tentatively rebuilt, Russell turned his focus outward, channeling resources into causes that mirrored his struggles. He founded a foundation for LGBTQ youth displaced by family rejection, naming it after his father, Harrington Haven. Ribbon-cutting ceremonies drew crowds, Evelyn by his side, her presence a testament to transformation. From pain comes purpose, Russell said in his speech, voice steady. Jordan stood proudly, their engagement rings glinting under lights. Society responded variably. Donations poured in, but protests picketed, claiming agenda-pushing. Media dissected the story, podcasts debating the will's morality, articles analyzing generational shifts. Evelyn faced her own reckonings. Old friends distanced, but new ones emerged, support groups for parents of gay children. I was blind, she'd share at meetings. Love opened my eyes. One spring day, she visited the foundation's first shelter in Queens. Watching kids find safety, she turned to Russell. This is what Robert meant. Living authentically. He nodded, emotion swelling. Thanks to you too. But harmony wasn't absolute. A cousin's lawsuit lingered, minor but nagging, alleging mismanagement. Court dismissed it, but it reopened wounds. Why can't they let go? Russell vented to Jordan. Change threatens, Jordan replied. We persist. Their commitment ceremony was intimate, Central Park, close friends, Evelyn walking Russell down the aisle. Vows exchanged, promises of forever amid tears and applause. No extravagance, just raw emotion. Honeymoon in California brought respite, but news followed. A bill restricting gay adoptions in several states. Russell rallied support, his story amplifying voices. Back home, Evelyn's full acceptance shone when she hosted a reception. To my sons, she toasted, including Jordan. Yet undercurrents of debate persisted. At a family gathering, an uncle grumbled, the will twisted traditions. Evelyn countered, traditions evolve or they die. Russell reflected on the journey, the hook of rejection, escalating drama, climactic revelations. His father's will hadn't just distributed wealth. It dismantled silence, forcing confrontations that bred understanding. In quieter times, Russell and Jordan discussed adoption, dreaming of a family unbound by blood's prejudices. Society's mirror reflected progress. Marriages legalized, but battles ongoing, trans rights, conversion therapy bans. Russell's story inspired many, letters arriving. Your fight gave me hope, but questions lingered, sparking endless discussions. As the foundation grew, Russell pondered the core conflict. Was a parent's love conditional on conformity? The answer, he knew, varied, but his experience screamed no. In the end, the will silenced not the family, but the lies that bound them. Was Evelyn's initial rejection justified by her upbringing, or was it inexcusable prejudice?